So, one of the things I wanted us to talk about while we're working on building our business is the subject of an online presence. Right? So, do you have an online presence? And what I wanted to talk about today was be the first step in this, which is something called Google Plus. And let's say there's probably one of two situations. Either you have a Google account that you're using or you don't. And if you have a Google account that you've used before, it's not necessary to create a new one. However, you get one with Keller Williams, right? And so what I've done is I've logged in to my kw.com account. You can see up here it says mdevlin at kw.com. Notice it says plus you, and then it says mail and images, and that's called the Google Grid. So when you log into your Google account, it says plus you, it means you've not set up Google Plus. Otherwise, it would say something other than you, right? So I already have Google Plus set up on my main Google account because I did it a long time ago, but I'm going to go through the process, assuming you've never done this. No, it doesn't cost anything. There's no cost involved. All right. So what we would want to do is now, first of all, let's just talk about why do you want to do this? And the answer, there's several reasons why you want to do this. Number one is if somebody's Google searching your name, Google will put your Google Plus profile right in front of their face. Google will put the Google Plus profile in front of them. And so you have control over your Google Plus profile. So you ought to spend some time to make it look nice. People will Google search your name. The other reasons for having it is a Google Plus page can serve like an online resume or landing page where you can have links to all of your other different accounts. The other reason you might want to do this is that Google Plus is a social network. And although it's not as big as Facebook, there's still over 500 million people using Google Plus, which is nothing to sneeze at. And it's got Google pushing it. Now, one of the things that what we're going to do with this as afterwards, let me see if we'll start with Google Plus, and then I'm going to show you once you've done this what to do with it with Google. So if you've got a Google account that you've had for years and you've been using it and you want to keep using it, that's fine. It still is the same. If you've been using Yahoo, AOL, I saw a guy yesterday that I know from he's an IT person, and then so he's basically saying he's doing technology for people. You pay him and he helps you, and he has a yahoo.com email address. And I wanted to say to him, come on, right? I mean, it's not as bad as AOL, but this is not a professional email, right? Now, kw.com, I think, is a professional email. At one point when I was at Century 21, I got a listing. It essentially came down that I had a real email address. Because the other agents, this was in Almaden, the other agents the guy that owned the house was in marketing for an internet company. And agents were telling him that they were sophisticated at internet marketing and they had AOL, Yahoo, and Hotmail email addresses. And he basically said, who are they kidding? Right? And I had a century21.com email, and he said, you've got a regular business email, right? And so I'm just saying and I've seen some really bad emails. I'm going to try to repeat some of them so anyhow, kw.com. So what we're going to do is you're going to click on the plus sign. And even if this says plus Michael or whatever, that means you've activated Google Plus. It doesn't mean you don't need to take a look at it. So we're going to click on the plus sign, and it says your account is managed by kw.com. Your administrator can access, modify, delete your data at any time without your permission. That sounds ooh, but this is the free account. If that gives you the willies, you could set up your own Google account, and there's a way of connecting the two of them together. I might cover that today. You select gender, birthday if you wish to tell them. This again is a social network, and so people generally um, um, share some of this information. And I'm going to click on upgrade. Is everybody with me?
No, I don't even have that.
Did you click on in Gmail, did you see a sign that says plus?
Plus Manny.
Did you click on that? The plus Manny. If yours says plus Manny, it means you've already logged into Google Plus, and you won't be seeing this page right now.
Oh.
Right? This is, I picked this one because it was pristine and had not been used. So if if it said plus your name, then you have a Google Plus account, whether you knew it or not, have used it or not, understand it or not. So,
Way over on the left side, it says Keller Williams.
right, that's because this is the Keller Williams business app. Okay, how are we doing? So, circles, suggestions. How do they know that I know any of these people? And the answer is they've taken a peek at your email contacts. So circles are like groups of, first of all, these are adding people you know. I could add Rick Core, and notice there's, it gives us friends, family, acquaintances, following. We're going to create a new circle, and I'm going to say, how about real estate? Right. That would be one example. And we click on create, and other people, so anyhow, I'm just going to say, okay, so now what happened to my real estate career? Create a new circle. It always does this. So, oh, there we go. So I only want him to be in one. All right. So Liz Aguero, I click on her. And for some reason, things are moving very slowly. I click on real estate. You get the idea. Now, there's an advantage to adding people into your circles because they'll add you into their circles. And if they're doing a search and you've done something on Google Plus, it'll actually show up with your picture. Right? We're going to, but I'm not going to go through, and I've got lots of people I could add, but we're just going to click on continue. But you would like to add people to your circles. Now, they're going to suggest some people for you to follow. Tracy Morgan, I'm not going to follow the Seattle Seahawks, I'll tell you that. Food and drink and weddings and music and things like that, we're just going to keep going. It says you might be lonely because you haven't added a lot of people. We're going to continue anyhow because I've got a lot more. And so it should bring us to this page. All right. Now, assuming that you've already done this, you may already be past this, but it says put a face to your name. If you click snap a photo, it's simply going to take a picture of you through your webcam. If you've got a photo, you can just drag it and upload a photo. And you want to have a good photo. And if it's too small, it's too small. How could that possibly be? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cancel this because I'm probably not going to use this one. And there we go. It's not the greatest smile. All right. So I'm not sure I want to use that one forever, but you get the idea. You want to add a photo. I just took one and it's uploading. There we go. Peachy. Now it asks, where do we work? Keller Williams. Keller Williams Realty comes up, but I would add in, I always type in San Jose hyphen Silicon Valley. That is, by the way, the official name, San Jose Silicon Valley. I'm a productivity coach. And I went to school at USC. I don't really want to tell you what year. And
Wood burning radios, doing that time?
yeah, wood burning radios. That's right. And where do you live? How about Campbell, California? And finish.
You're building your profile.
Right, we're building a profile. And stay in touch with the right people, learn more. So you can go through the different pieces of it. And we're jumping all around here. You can add questions about relationships. You can add more about your contact information. I would be, if I were you, I would put in everything that you would want people to be able to contact you. And all of a sudden it just went someplace else, and I don't know why. Okay, and you could put in an address if you wanted to. Make home contact visible to the public. I hope you saw what I just did. Everything you do on Google Plus asks you, who do you want to be able to see this information? Now, if I'm in real estate and I want people to be able to call me, I might put that in. Okay. And we could add more. Some people don't put in any of their personal. It's 90% complete. We're just going to click on done. And so we're starting already. Now, some people find this a little confusing, but there's lots of different moving parts to this. And the only thing that I wanted really to accomplish today was to get you to fill out your profile. But it's got things for photos and links and videos and events, and we could share something, and we could do lots of different things. But if we want to do more, notice as I scroll up next to the G plus sign or to that little drop down box, I get the same thing. When I scroll up there, these are the different things in the drop down list, and I would start with the profile, and there's a background. So the cover is an image, and if you click on this you can change the cover. So I don't really know what I want to change it to. These are default settings. These are some of the gallery that just comes with it. I could upload it, select something from my pictures. Let me see if I've got something that would look at all useful. I was helping somebody with a Morgan Hill. How about, I'm just going to pick something, and so I've just grabbed a picture and I'm going to select that as a cover photo, and it looks a little bit better, right? So you have to understand is that if Google's going to send people to this page, you ought to spend a little bit of time to make it look nice. And so that's the cover photo. There's a section here called About, and this is something that you should think about. And one of the things that I recommend that you do is create a profile that you can put online. right? Because as we go through this, there's Google Plus, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's Instagram, there's Pinterest, there's Facebook business pages, and we want to. You're gonna have to say this again and again and again. So you might want to work on this. By the way, if you don't fill something in, it just doesn't show up. So for example, there's a story and a tagline, which is a brief description and introduction. If we click on edit, we could say, uh, um, okay, and then this, what I'm going to do something that helps me, but what this is my how to get a real estate license webpage. But the idea is you do the same thing. So I'm copying that URL and I'm going back here and I'm saying live and internet classes to get a California real estate license. And so what I'm going to do is highlight that and click on the link button, and I'm going to paste in that URL. And if you're got the will, you could press test it, but I'm going to click on OK. So what I've done now, what would you put? You could put my link to my real estate school, but what else could you put there? A link to your webpage, maybe more specifically, how about how to search for thousands of Silicon Valley area properties? How about find out what your home is worth in today's market? How about download the best mobile app in real estate? How about interested in a real estate career? Right? And you can put in your Red Careers link. So you can type in whatever words you want, highlight them, click on link, and paste it in. You can have bullets and numbers, and you can do whatever you want.
I have a problem. I have a LinkedIn account,
Right,
and it's old data, right? It's from my other life,
right.
and it keeps coming up.
Well, you need to modify your LinkedIn account. If you like, I'll do LinkedIn next week, right? Because we need to get all these things together, right?
Yeah,
And consistent.
yeah, because they look at my profile and all it says is, I was.
We need to change that. You just need to delete you need to create a new profile. You don't have to start over again. You just add a new job. And we'll talk about that.
Can you put it? Can we put real estate on top?
Yeah, we'll do it on top because it does it by date. So you would say till present, from 2013 to present, right?
Sorry,
So you can put in a statement. All right, and I'm not overdoing this, but I'm just doing something, right? So do you understand we've now gotten a tagline, an introduction, bragging rights, education. So occupation, right? Again, if you want to change something, you click on edit. And what do you do? In my mind. And skills and employment, and you can add other employment. And again, whatever you fill out, the skills won't show up on the real site if you don't put anything there. Basic information, it shows where you are, and there's apps which we're not going to go into now. But the homework assignment for all of you that are here today is to spend some time and work on your profile, right? And you need to have an explanation about who you are and what you do anyhow. You might as well
This is on Google Plus.
Google Plus. Now, what we're going to do with this, and I know I'm sort of jumping ahead. Let's say one of the many things that we can do with this is in our kw.com. Okay. Yeah, Manny went away there for a second when you turned off the.
I thought you got mad.
Just even. Okay, so we've logged in. What can we do with this? You see this short little number here, right? That little number. We copy that number, and one of the things that we can do is we go to our profile, and this is the white pages. We click on Edit, and one of the things down here is Google Plus. And we put in our short little, and we hit save, and it's now connected to our Google Plus. I actually
You can build the profile from your kw.com and then stick it to Google Plus that way?
Well, no, what it does is it links. It means that when somebody goes to kw.com and they search for an agent and they find you, there's going to be a Google Plus sign. All right, and the reality is I use the other one, but I'm not going to leave it here because I have another Google Plus. But what we're going to be doing in the next few short weeks is we're going to do Google Plus, LinkedIn, YouTube, right, Facebook, so that you get all of these different components. The other thing that we want to do with this, so we put it in our profile. The other thing we want to do is if we go to, and for some reason it keeps doing this, and I don't know why. If we go into the back office for eEdge, we also want to add it to our social media icons that are on the eEdge page. And we would get there by going to website. And then when we scrolled, we go to my account. I didn't mean to go to website. You go to my account, and if you scroll down, notice it says add social media. Now I've already added a bunch of these already. But if you click on add social media, it's going to ask which one, and you copy it. The easiest way to do that is copy and paste the entire URL. Notice how the Google Plus URL is everything. So that's what you want it to look like. And what this is going to do when you've added all of those is that if somebody were to go to your website, then, and my website is for demonstration purposes only, and they go to the About section, that's where these show up, these icons. But the cool thing about this is that if you copied those icons and you went to eAgency, you can paste them in and the links work. If you put them at the end of a Gmail signature, it works. You could put it in an Outlook as well. So once we get our Google profile going, and we've added as many people as we can, and we've put in as much information as we're willing to, we want to link it to our KW profile, our eEdge page, and eventually we'll put them into eAgency as well. But we have to get them done first. Right. In other words, before we can put them, we have to have all these different icons. Any questions so far about this? All right.
I have a question.
Sure.
All this that you are showing us now, all of the hotshot salesmen here have already done all this.
Many of them have. Most of them have. You're going to find that most of the hotshot salespeople. So,
and have a closing, listing, and pending.
Right. Not all of them. So, see, it's sort of looking through my database. What you're going to find is that some agents don't spend time on this because they've got repeat business, referral business, and they're not using this as a social network. All right. What my suggestion is that if you're new and you're not getting 8 to 10 referrals a year and 8 to 10 repeat clients a year, that you might want to have as many look at me, I'm in real estate signs out as you can. And once we get these set up, I'm going to show you how you could post something and have it go to Google Plus, your Facebook page, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, all of them at once. And what that does is it creates a bunch of links back to you. All right? And so, and people are using this site. Even if you say, I don't want to post anything on Google Plus, I don't want to post anything on social media, I don't want to use any of these tools as social media, you ought to at least fill out your profile so that when people are searching for your, Google will stick your profile in front of their nose. Right? You at least ought to fill out your profile, and you ought to have as many active links back to the web pages that you want them to go to. Right? Your web page, and not just the web page in general, but you should have that one, but one to buyers, one for sellers, one for people that want to become agents, and one to download the mobile app. Right? Does that make sense? Now, if we look over here, if we're hovering around, and by the way, there are a ton of good how to use Google Plus videos, including how to use Google Plus in real estate and things like that. But if we hover over here, we have the profile, we have people, and what people is where we can connect all the friends and everyone we know. And the value of this is that if they're in your Google account, Google already knows they're in your Google account, right? But you could search for somebody. I'm trying to think of who I'd want to search for. Photos is an interesting section, and the Google bought a company called Picnic. That's Picnik. And Picnic was a program I used to like. And what it will do is that you can upload photos, you can create albums. It'll actually do things like autocorrect for make it sharper, lighten it up, darken it up. It'll allow you to put words on it and things like that. It's a place where you could keep photos, let's say, of a listing. Communities are what you might think about. And if you were going to type in real estate, S-T-A-T-E, real estate, you're going to find that there's a bunch of real estate communities. And there's even, I believe, if we typed in Keller Inc., for example, which is the publishing arm of the One Thing movement in full effect. So let's say I like this, and I could just say I'm following them. So what that means is that now when Gary and Jay posts something, when Keller Inc. posts something, that I'm going to be notified in my Google account. Do you understand? The social media isn't always for talking. It can be for listening. It's okay. You'll notice that Rod Hibner, who does very well in our office, has created a community called Bay Area of California. So what some agents have done is you can create a community. So if you were working in the Cambrian area, the Blossom Valley area, you could create a community called Blossom Valley, right? And if you had a blog about Blossom Valley, you could post things here too. And I'm going to join the Keller Williams community. Why not? I'm going to follow Keller Williams Realty. So I'm just going through the list. That's communities, and it's a good way for you to connect with people. and listen to what they're doing. You can create an event. You can create a hangout. A hangout is the ability for you to communicate with multiple people at one time, and video chat and things like that. If you, some people have said, I ask them, do you have Google Hangouts? And they'll say, no, I don't. If you have an Android phone, you have Google Hangouts, you just haven't used it, right? But it's a way for, you'll notice that a lot of webinars and things are done through Google Hangouts. I've done some of these broadcasts with Google Hangouts. Google Pages gives you the ability to create your own business page, very much like a Facebook page. And Google Local is a more difficult thing in that what it allows you to do is to create a local here I am kind of a thing, you know, and it's like a local place page which comes up in search results with Google. Now what I've seen is that Google is starting to crack down on 50 real estate agents all claiming to be Keller Williams Realty 2110 South Bascom, right? And what they're eventually going to do is to just have Keller Williams Realty 2110 South Bascom, and we would need to create our own page, or we could have links to all of the agents, that sort of thing. But they understand they're cracking down a little bit on that. But what you need to do is you ought to go through and click on these different settings and work on that, right? You need to fill out your profile, add some pictures, and maybe look around at some communities. So what I always like to do is to find, like I found that one that Rod Hibner had. Why don't we look for this real estate? Keller Williams. Let's see what I get. Here are Kathy Ann Arbor, the Miles, James Kemper, Aguilar Real Estate Team. Let's just take a peek at one of these. And so this is an example of a is this a community? This is an example of a page that came up. I don't know why. I guess I was just searching for everything, not just for community.
Why is there a poster all screwed up?
What do you mean?
See how her name doesn't appear right?
The reason for this, one of the problems with the Google page is when you put a photo there, the photo actually goes all the way from left to right. Now, so what it does is it blurs. It's like looking through one of those frosted glass things. So you just need to know that. By the way, there are a bunch of templates where you could, so that it
Doesn't really help because
no, it's cut off.
missing and
Right. So if we were to just go to Google, let's say, and we want a Google Plus page, cover photo template. How about that? Well, the nice thing about Google, it knows what I'm saying more than I do. So it has the photo dimensions and the blurred, and so you can find out information about it. One of the programs that I like to use is called Picmonkey. Picmonk, Picmonkey. And what Picmonkey allows you to do, and I believe I know they have a Facebook template, but you can create like a collage of different pictures and touch up a design. And they have a Facebook one, but I guess they don't have a Google Plus one. But if you Google search Google Plus, you're going to find that a Google cover photo template. And wow, we've got a bunch of them. And you can experiment with it and figure it out yourself. Here's one. And download the template. And notice what they've done is they've given you the dimensions so that the part on the far left isn't as important, right? It goes behind you anyhow. Now, and Picmonkey, which we looked at, allows you to create a custom-sized one as well. But the reason that this becomes important is because eventually one of the things that we're going to be looking at is YouTube. And YouTube, just to show you, YouTube is more and more. And when you create a YouTube channel, you're going to see something in a second. Sure, why not? It's probably worried because we're going to create another channel cover that's designed for that too. All right, notice it's not quite the same as the one on Google+. So you just want, did everybody see how I found the Google+ cover photo profile and dimensions? You can download a template. It gives you but if you just look at it, I've just eyeballed it in the past and realized that about a third of it is going to be behind that and making sure that everything that's important is on the right hand side. All right. Was that at all? I don't know about that. So I'm going to download this free template, whatever it is. It works very well on mobile, and they're going to send me a template. Okay, was that enough to get started? Work on the first step is we want to get your profile. Be sure to put in links, fill out as much information. If you put as much in as you can, Google will search this. Right, you're far more. Let me just say if you post something on Facebook, does Google search that post? The answer is no. Right, Google does not search news feeds of Facebook. Does Google search Twitter? Not anymore. Right, they used to, and then Twitter didn't want them to do it, and they were back and forth. So does Google search LinkedIn? Sometimes, right? But if you post something on Google+, Google indexes that for the Google search, right? You understand the chances of being found on Google when you're using Google social media. The thing that Google is using as a hammer to beat people into using Google+ is the fact that they've tied it to their Google search engine, right? Which is the reason why we're going to want to post things there eventually too. All right. Hopefully that's enough.